Recent mass shootings around the country resonating here in Utah tonight.
The possibility of it happening in your own area, in your own store.
How businesses here are working to keep you safe if the worst should happen.
Tracking a front moving through Utah tonight, bringing us the chance for some isolated thunderstorms. I'll have your forecast for the evening and what you can expect for your morning drive.
I hope that this is the closure that we all need.
Trying to look to the future from the COVID-19 pandemic, these flags here in Orem at Timpanogos Regional Hospital signifying those who have survived and those who have passed away.
We need a restoration solution, not a real estate solution.
The future of Utah Lake, from a new name to an island project.
A bear spotted on a Utah middle school campus just as students were arriving. Why you can expect more of these run-ins with wildlife this year.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, a local grocery store chain is taking steps to keep staff and customers safe after a troubling weekend across the nation. Mass shootings on the east and west coasts has companies revisiting active shooter training.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser joins us live in studio with more on how they intend to keep everyone safe. Emily.
The president of a local grocery chain says this is what keeps him up at night right now. He doesn't want to get too specific about how they're trained and the tools that they have, but he wants to assure staff and customers that they are prepared.
It's the scariest thing we could think of.
In this time of sorrow and concern over mass shootings, the nation is on high alert.
It's always concerning when you see this on the news and you see something happen. You're concerned about the possibility of it happening in your own area, in your own store.
Jonathan Badger, president of local grocery chain Lee's Marketplace, says it's a critical topic of discussion across his team. Active shooter training was scheduled to be months away, but they moved it up to this week.
We want everyone to feel comfortable as they walk in, so we'll do everything we can to hopefully mitigate anything like this ever happening.
For security officers, it's an important reminder that in some cases, they must be the first to react.
It's a lot. The officers sometimes have to be a little more proactive, have to a little more not be scared of circumstances.
This is Bob Connor, CEO of All Pro Security, a company that trains and places security guards in over 25 cities across Utah and Mesa, Arizona. They have guards everywhere from malls and movie theaters to courts and government buildings.
Security is now being called upon more and more to fill in that role that law enforcement is shorthanded to do.
All Pro Security offers a number of required training classes, including active gunman scenarios.
We bring in, we'll have sometimes a SWAT team come in and act with an active gunman course, so they know how to prepare on that, and train our officers how to screen for weapons. And you have to sometimes just be quick on your feet to make a quick decision.
Connor worked for the Orem Police Department for 33 years before starting the security company in 2006. He said he's watched the need for active gunman training exponentially rise over the years, and the events of this weekend confirm the need. In studio, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thank you. Meantime, the mayor of Buffalo, New York, is urging the grocery store where this mass shooting happened on Saturday to reopen just as quickly as possible. Authorities revealed that the 18-year-old white suspect targeted the area and Tops supermarket because it had the highest percentage of black people in any zip code in upstate New York, as well as the state of New York's strict gun laws. Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown said that he talked to FBI Director Christopher Wray, who promised, quote, every resource available to get to the bottom of the racially motivated rampage.
Absolutely incredible. Someone with so much hate in their heart, so much hate in their head, traveled from more than 3 hours to get to this community, a community densely populated with African American residents, with the express purpose of trying to take as many black lives as possible.
Mayor Brown believes more people would have been killed and injured if police had not arrived at the scene so quickly. One of the victims, who is being hailed as a hero, was security officer Aaron Salter Jr. He confronted the suspect and even shot at the gunman before he was killed.
Tonight, we have learned of a Utah teen's death at Coral Pink Sand Dunes State Park over the weekend. The Division of State Parks says it happened Saturday evening. They say 13-year-old Ian Spendlove of Santa Clara became trapped under 6.5 feet of sand. Park rangers believe he had been digging a tunnel in the side of a sand dune when it unexpectedly collapsed with him inside. After he was rescued, Spendlove was flown to Primary Children's Hospital, where he was pronounced dead yesterday. The incident remains under investigation. In Utah County, first responders are working to rescue a 16-year-old girl right now. She fell about 20 feet this evening on the Battle Creek Trail in Pleasant Grove and hit her head. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says she is able to walk despite her injuries. We'll keep you updated as we learn more.
South Salt Lake police are looking for 3 people in connection with a deadly shooting. They say 2 suspects on foot, 1 in a car, chased 26-year-old Romeo Williams through the parking lot of Winco last Monday night, then fatally shot him. Police identified 27-year-old Damian Coleman as the driver. He was arrested last week, but the others are still at large. Take a look here. Police say they are 21-year-old Stefan Coleman, 30-year-old Terrell Jones, and 24-year-old McKennellan Cummins. Investigators say they spend a lot of time in Roy. If you've seen them or know where they are, contact South Salt Lake Police.
I hope that this is the closure that we all need.
So we want to give thanks to
Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem is honoring patients, families, and all who have been affected by COVID-19. The ceremony comes as the United States marks the grim milestone of 1 million COVID-related deaths.
Tonight, Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee shares a story of survival of a man who beat the odds.
It's a battle Brian has followed for more than 6 months, and now the Tooele man who nearly lost his life is back with his family, taking it one day at a time.
hundreds of flags representing hundreds of real people. Some who have survived COVID-19 and some who have not.
It's overwhelming to be back here and to think that we almost weren't at this point. We almost didn't have this.
In November, we first told you about Chelsea's husband, Larry Barney, who contracted COVID-19 in August of last year.
Larry spent an enormous amount of time very close to death.
Larry was here for over 3 months, and I never saw him with his eyes open.
Larry Barney spent months in the hospital battling COVID-19. At one point, doctors gave him a 5% chance to live, which would signify here, if he did not make it, a white flag. Instead, he's here as a green flag tonight, representing the many who have survived COVID-19. Outside the walls of the hospital that means so much to the Barney family, a ceremony was held to honor and recognize the patients, families, as well as hospital staff.
He's really become the vision that we all fight for every time someone rolls through our hospital doors.
Larry says that he didn't know his life was truly on the line until he saw the chaplain enter his hospital room. His miraculous recovery has impacted many at the hospital.
I hope that the worst is behind us.
Including a patient advocate who saw Larry's wife Chelsea every day by his side for months.
She never, ever doubted. She's one of the strongest people that I know, next to Larry, who fought an internal battle that I can't even imagine.
The battle is still real for Larry, who depends on oxygen support, daily medication, and physical therapy. But he's no longer in the hospital bed that he's called home for months. He's now back home with his wife and son Leo.
It's amazing.
It is.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
We get to play the drums together. It's amazing. I love it. I have a whole new outlook on life.
Thanks to the caregivers who never gave up. In Orem, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In national news, there is new progress toward getting more baby formula back on store shelves. Abbott, the company behind the recall, says it has reached an agreement with federal health officials to restart production at its main plant. Now, it's not an immediate fix, however. The company says it will still take at least 8 weeks to begin shipping new product after production resumes. Abbott is responsible for manufacturing 40% of the country's baby formula.
Well, I slipped out for dinner, and I'm telling you, it was warm out there. It was warm like summer out there.
Yes, it was almost 90 today, even hotter than it was yesterday for many of you. And it's quite breezy out there also. Salt Lake right now, 25 miles per hour, Ogden, 25 miles per hour. We're going to continue with some isolated strong wind gusts through the evening hours. Across southern Utah, it's not quite as windy, but we do have red flag warnings through 10 o'clock tomorrow night. We've had a few isolated showers, mainly near the Idaho border this afternoon, right now on the north end of the Great Salt Lake, just before I-84. We had a little bit of hail reported in Lewiston earlier this evening. And as we look at the bigger picture across Utah, still mostly dry conditions, maybe a little bit of virga for sunset, a beautiful evening. But for tomorrow, we're going to continue with that chance for some thunderstorms from Salt Lake down through about Cedar City over towards Moab and Grand Junction. That does include northeast Utah as well, up into Wyoming. Salt Lake currently temperatures 73 degrees will keep things warm through the evening. And as you wake up tomorrow morning by 7 o'clock, we're close to 50 to 60 for much of Utah, near 60 for Provo, for Tooele, for Salt Lake and Ogden, all early tomorrow morning. I'll let you know what you can expect with tomorrow's chance for thunderstorms and also an even stronger system on Thursday.
SWAT team members and crisis negotiators converge on a home in the Rose Park neighborhood. What led them here and what they ultimately found.
Caught on camera, a bear scare at a Utah middle school, just as students were arriving to class.
Invasive species and toxic waters. It's an important lake with lots of problems.
At this point, we make sure we're keeping our eye on good science and good data.
The new idea is to restore Utah Lake. But at what cost?
Can the Grizzlies finally close out the rush? Game 6 highlights are on the way.
Welcome back, everyone. A man is dead after shooting himself at a house in Salt Lake City's Rose Park neighborhood.
Police say it happened after officers responded to a call of sexual assault involving a child. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold spoke with neighbors about what happened.
I asked my sister if she heard anything, and she said she heard a loud pop like 30 minutes before.
It was enough to make Brianna Camarillo come out of her home to see what was going on.
I see the cops blocked off the whole road, and then I asked what's going on, and they said there's someone with a rifle, a hunting rifle, and to just stay far away.
Through a press release from Salt Lake City Police, they say this all started just before noon, when the SWAT team and crisis negotiators were called to a home near 1700 North and Cavello Drive to help with a sexual assault investigation. Police say they received a 911 call about a sexual assault that took place involving a child who was known to the suspect. After more than an hour, police went into the home through the garage and found the suspect dead from a single gunshot wound. Several homeowners in the area were told to shelter in place, and nearby schools like Northwest Middle were put on secure alert. Camarillo says she was worried because that's where her 14-year-old daughter attends school.
Just realizing that it's happening right in front of the school, you know, it's literally a few houses down. I immediately just wanted to make sure my child is safe.
Camarillo and other neighbors telling Fox 13 News that this neighborhood tends to be pretty quiet, which is why they were so surprised to see something like this happen.
Rose Park is still a beautiful neighborhood. It's just, you know, anything can happen at any given time.
All those lockdowns and shelter-in-place orders have now since been lifted. Now, police say that detectives did come out and investigate that initial sexual assault and help that young victim. But what we don't know from police right now is either the name or the age of the suspect or victim, something they say they won't be releasing because this involved a sexual assault and a minor. In Rose Park, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A federal judge has thrown out a lawsuit filed over medical cannabis in Utah. JLPR sued the state after not being awarded a medical cannabis grow license. They pointed to problems with how cultivation licenses are issued by the state. A federal judge rejected the company's claims that its federal rights were denied. The judge told JLPR it can still pursue some claims in state court.
The Salt Lake County Health Department is urging more people to get their COVID-19 booster shots. The agency is recommending people older than 50 and those with immunocompromising conditions to start getting those boosters now. In recent weeks, COVID-19 cases have been increasing in the state, although hospitalizations and deaths do still remain low. Booster shots are available at all county health clinics.
A bear spotted on the Morgan Middle School campus just as students were arriving for class this morning has now been safely relocated far away from the city boundaries of Morgan.
This makes for a very interesting Monday morning. The bear was wandering the school grounds and then climbed a tree. That's when the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources found the bear and tranquilized it.
There he goes, there he goes. Oh my gosh.
Everybody holds their breath, right, when they see the bear drop.
Doing a nosedive.
I think he's okay tonight. The DWR says bears and other wildlife are likely to be spotted more this year in populated areas due to our drought.
There is the potential to have kind of more of these, an increase in these conflicts, particularly with bears. During drought years, just because their normal food source is limited. They typically eat roots, acorns, things like that, which obviously plants are really impacted by less water. We do sometimes have an increase in deer coming into gardens, yards during drought years, same thing, just trying to look for food and water sources.
Some ways to secure your yard are building tall fencing to keep wildlife out, install motion-activated sprinklers to scare them away. I like that idea. And don't leave food or water out where they can get it.
Those motion-activated sprinklers, though, don't sound too drought-friendly, perhaps,
No,
right now.
perhaps not,
the
but
conditions we're in.
They're not bear-friendly either.
No, but we actually do have these sprinkler systems, just while we're on the subject, where you can actually track, and if it rains at your house, they won't go on. If you have a timer.
Great.
Yeah, the smart new systems. Yeah,
we upgraded to that last year just to make it a little bit easier so we're not watering and wasting water when we've got water coming down. But a few isolated showers this evening. So if you're up in northern Utah, especially the Cache Valley, you saw a little bit of rain earlier tonight. But what we're going to be tracking for you into tomorrow will also be some scattered showers. But before we get to that, take a look at your screen. Seriously, this is one of the best pictures that I've ever seen. This is a local photographer, RJ Hooper. He posted up at Monument Valley for that lunar eclipse and got this amazing shot. So thanks so much for sharing that with us here at Fox 13. We could share it with all of our viewers. I know that a lot of you hopefully enjoyed that. 73 degrees right now here in Salt Lake. A very comfortable evening temperature-wise. Our wind is gusting 25 miles per hour. And here are your main weather headlines. Here's what you need to know on a Monday night. Today, hottest temperatures of the year for many of you so far. Set a few records today. Northern Utah, cold front is moving through. So tomorrow we're not going to be quite as hot, but we'll still be warm. This front stalls in central Utah, so we'll continue to fire up a few thunderstorms into tomorrow. And we also have the possibility of some microburst winds with dry thunderstorms along with that boundary. And then we're going to have some lighter winds for Wednesday. So for right now, the only lightning that we currently have is on the north end of the Great Salt Lake, just west of Snowville and I-84. Bigger picture, we're mainly tracking just clouds from about Layton north. If we have any strong winds, any of those microburst winds, those are most likely to be about Layton further north. And then through the evening hours, we're going to continue with a few of those isolated showers, mainly in far northern Utah. And then into tomorrow, we'll also have that chance for some isolated showers. Wind right now is gusting about 25 miles per hour for Ogden and Salt Lake City. And for temperatures today, we made it to 88. So we were almost 90 degrees here in Salt Lake. We were about 5 degrees shy of a record high. Sunset was about a half hour ago at about a little before 9 o'clock. And then for overnight temps for Salt Lake and Ogden will be close to 60, and Provo early tomorrow morning, those temperatures will be in the mid-50s. Overnight temps at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. A pretty mild start tomorrow morning when you're waking up. So for Provo and Eagle Mountain, you're in the mid to upper 50s. Tooele, Salt Lake, Ogden, close to 60. That chance for some scattered showers into tomorrow. More clouds. We're going to have that chance for some isolated to scattered showers across Utah, and our temperatures cooler than today. So for For Provo, Salt Lake, Ogden, we're all in the mid-70s into tomorrow afternoon. St. George, another day in the 90s. But let me show you this futurecast, because early tomorrow morning, we could see a few areas with some drizzle for the morning drive. And then we head into the afternoon hours, and we're going to end up with potentially some scattered thunderstorms to isolated thunderstorms. St. George, your hottest and windiest day will be Thursday, more fire concerns. And then your temperatures through the weekend will be in the 80s and 90s. Here in Salt Lake, we're cooler this weekend, 60 for a high on Friday, close to 70 on Saturday. We'll talk more about a stronger system on Thursday later in the hour.
What could you do in your life for charity? All of us have unique talents and abilities. This is what I can do.
Straight ahead, the cause one man is raising, bringing attention to by riding his lawnmower from one end of Utah to the other. It's a positively Utah story you don't want to miss. A 24-hour, $20,000 makeover is underway at the Midvale Boys and Girls Club. Associates from Aaron's started renovating the teen media room at the club this morning. The volunteer work will make it a much better place for members and to attract new ones.
Oh man, we've got PlayStations, we've got Nintendo Switches, we've got big TVs, smaller TVs, we've got couches, pool tables, air hockey, we got the works.
Tomorrow there will be a surprise unveiling for the teens. Aaron's has been in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club Foundation of America since 2015. This renovation is its 55th nationwide.
That is a teen cave for sure.
Oh yeah.
Now onto a story that is positively Utah. From the top of Utah to the bottom, a Santaquin man is riding his lawnmower, all to raise money for a very good cause. Scott Morgan and his wife are co-founders of Rolling for Ronald. They raise money and awareness for the Intermountain area Ronald McDonald House. It provides lodging, food, transportation, and really whatever a family needs when their child is receiving hospital care.
We began on the Idaho border and we'll end at the Arizona border, 439 miles all the way through Utah at 7 miles per hour. Takes us 10 days.
Slow and steady. On day 3 of his journey, Morgan met at the state capitol with Carrie Romano, CEO of Ronald McDonald House Charities of the Intermountain area, along with Michelle Gross, a mother who is waiting for a heart transplant for her 11-month-old daughter, Isabella. If you'd like to support his trip, we do have a link for you on our website. You can find it at fox13now.com.
Invasive species and toxic water.
Clearly, it needs some love.
Utah Lake has seen better days.
We can do better, and we need to do better.
Now ideas for restoration are pouring in. From new islands.
Dredge the lake to form islands with that material.
This is not a sound idea.
To a new identity.
A new name for the lake is perfectly appropriate.
And how much it'll cost.
It's a big number.
Fox 13's Ben Winslow takes a 360 look. The future of Utah Lake, coming up next.
Decades of neglect have taken their toll on Utah Lake. Now the body of water is getting some new attention with a number of proposals, from building islands in the middle of that lake to even a new name.
But how much will it all cost? Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has more in tonight's 360 report.
The problems surrounding the shrinking Great Salt Lake have also highlighted issues here at Utah Lake, with a lot of ideas to try to help it. Utah Lake is an important part of northern Utah's ecosystem for wildlife, people, and a growing recreation area. But it has more than its share of problems.
Clearly, it needs some love.
There's carp infestations, toxic algae blooms, and the invasive plant species Phragmites.
We're seeing an increase in population, we're seeing an increase in development, we're seeing an increase in water pollutants. There's a lot going on.
In recent years, more attention has been paid to the health of Utah Lake.
Now we're starting to pay attention to what needs to happen to restore it.
There's been a lot of discussion since the 80s and 90s about restoring Utah Lake.
Thank you for your interest. Recently, Representative Kevin Stratton and the environmental group Conserve Utah Valley have been hosting summits on the health and future of the lake.
The notion behind the summits is to really educate. Good information leads to good decisions.
They've seen an increase in public concern.
People are absolutely starting to pay attention. They realize there's so much that we love about Utah Lake and so much that we don't like. And with a little bit of attention, just a little bit of focus, we've actually done some amazing things to keep it as pristine as it is, and it has a long ways to go.
One idea driving some of the public debate is the concept of dredging Utah Lake and building islands on it.
I think what makes that work is the need. The need to restore Utah Lake is there.
John Benson is the president of Lake Restoration Solutions, which has proposed the idea of dozens of islands, some that could be developed with housing and commercial buildings on them, with a causeway or roads leading to them.
Different islands have different uses, right? Some of those islands are just for birds. They're wildlife habitat, and so those will have a little bit different process than what you would need for, say, a recreation island that would have more human interaction, or even a community island that would have some structures, permanent structures on there.
It would not be cheap and could take about 15 years to complete.
Our estimate for the comprehensive restoration is about $6.5 billion. Our plan, of course, is to do that with a public-private partnership model.
Lake Restoration Solutions submitted an application to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the massive project. The environmental review process is underway.
Ultimately, we believe that the Army Corps will decide to approve and move forward with this project or some variation of it, because the need is there.
Conserve Utah Valley's executive director doesn't think it's a good idea.
This is not a sound idea. And then to do it to the entire lake, this is like you've got a cut on your finger, you're going to cut your arm off. This is overreaction. My concern is we need a restoration solution, not a real estate solution.
Representative Stratton says he's not taking a position on the islands project.
Right now, I am agnostic to any specific direction, but I'm all about where we want to end up and how to get there.
But the legislature did advance some bills this year to oversee restoration of the lake. Representative Stratton passed a bill requiring more of a process for any restoration project, including involvement from the legislature and the governor.
The intent was not to create more hurdles. The intent was to create more integrity in the process.
That bill got support from both Lake Restoration Solutions and Conserve Utah Valley.
Now, if everybody says, hey, let's turn it into a NASCAR ring, and that's what well, all right, I'm just one voice. But if everyone takes a look at it and says, that's a beautiful lake, and let's actually restore it, let's not do things to actually damage it, then let's do that.
I think it brings more clarity to the process, to know what will happen after the Army Corps approval.
Another bill creates a special authority to oversee any restoration of Utah Lake.
Prioritize and track the projects that we're doing and what kind of impact they have.
Representative Brady Brammer says restoration of Utah Lake will happen regardless of any island project.
Those are a lot of pretty significant hurdles to prove their case. And if they can, then maybe it'll be a really great project with several billions of dollars to improve Utah Lake. But if they can't meet that burden, then we're going to need to be able to fall back on something, and that's what the Utah Lake Authority is meant to do.
Already work is underway to remove Phragmites. Efforts to remove carp have had some success, and Utah's Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands says tackling algal blooms is top of their list this year.
We're hoping that we're starting to get a handle on things, but we can do better, and we need to do better, and we need to start taking management actions and being proactive instead of reactive.
Conserve Utah Valley believes the state is making great strides to restore the lake.
We don't need billions of dollars. We need to keep doing the things we've been doing.
Representative Brammer is proposing that with the lake's restoration, it also get a name change. He's considering a bill to rename it Lake Timpanogos, after the Timpanogos tribe that was here before Mormon pioneers settled in Utah County.
A new name for the lake is perfectly appropriate so that you're not dragging all of that stigma from 100 years of mistreatment forward into what we hope is a new and better era for Utah Lake.
While we're still years away from a final outcome on the lake's future, all sides say the public discussion is important.
I think at this point, we make sure we're keeping our eye on good science and good data.
Another Utah Lake Summit is being planned for the next month or so, with Lake Restoration Solutions being invited to participate and present its proposal. At Utah Lake, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Nobody stops for children or pedestrians.
Parents are concerned about this crosswalk behind me near a high school because they say cars aren't letting people cross. We'll find out what, if anything, is being done about this.
Also still to come, we'll show you the touching show of support for one dog who was allegedly thrown out of a moving car in South Salt Lake. How this little dog is doing tonight. Welcome back, everyone. A crosswalk is creating controversy in Harriman, and it's causing parents now to ask for a change.
Fox 13 News reporter Eliana Sheriff is looking into what's causing people to be concerned and what, if anything, is being done about the crosswalk.
It is so dangerous for children. Mom Amanda Lambard posted this video on social media. You can see two teens waiting to cross with cars whizzing by and no one stopping. According to the school district, kids are supposed to walk up to the stoplight up the street to cross.
Even though it's right up the street, yes it is, but it's very inconvenient because as you can see the lines here, you are able to cross.
The pedestrian crosswalk here isn't an approved safe school route. Those are denoted by the zebra stripes you see here. Still, cars are supposed to yield to pedestrians.
And I mean, I've stood here for 10 minutes with my family trying to cross here and nobody will stop.
I'm gonna do my own experiment where I stand on the corner of the crosswalk and see how long it takes for a car to stop.
Car not stopping, truck not stopping, another car not stopping, another car not stopping, another car not stopping, another car not stopping, not stopping.
It's pretty common to see people going like 10 or 15 over the speed limit.
What's going to happen is someone's life is going to be on the line and then they're going to do something about it. It's going to be too late.
I don't let them cross alone. I go with them because it's so busy and so fast.
When I personally tried to cross the street, 9 cars failed to stop for me. This neighbor says it is an issue that seemed to be mitigated in the past by crossing guards.
They had flags and yellow vests, so it did help, but I think they thought that even that wasn't quite safe enough.
The police department mentioned that this is a high radar area and that there's nothing they can do to get anybody to stop. They've tried, they've put crossing guards here and they said that it's very dangerous.
The school encourages parents to educate their kids on the approved walking routes, but that doesn't change how fast some people drive a block from the school.
I don't know that it's necessarily the school's issue, but there is probably a problem with people going too fast.
For families trying to cross the street to go to the park, these parents think more needs to be done.
I mean, the obvious thing would be to have a light where it's a lot more visible.
In Harriman, Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Now, the Jordan School District points out that crossing at that particular intersection is not part of their safe walking route, and the approved route for children to cross is just up the street at Sentinel and Rosecrest, where there is indeed a light. Harriman police confirm this is a high complaint area, and their officers frequently patrol that intersection.
Still ahead, a new report says Utah's birth rate is dropping, and that's impacting a lot of things. We'll explain.
And coming up in sports, there's big coaching news with Weber State's basketball team. And tonight was it the night the Grizzlies finally won their playoff series against Rapid City. Their playoff score had another big night.
A new report says Utah is still topping the nation when it comes to the birth rate, but it is in decline.
The Utah Foundation says while the nation has seen a decline from 13.9 births per 1,000 residents to 11.4, Utah's birth rate has dropped by nearly a third from 21 per 1,000 births in 2008, now down to 14. That plays into a lot of other policy decisions, including how much we spend on youth programs, parks, and education.
We looked at our spending on primary and secondary education, and we looked at it per $1,000 of personal income. So it's a gauge of how much of our sort of wealth do we put into this K-12 public education. And the amount has declined notably. Going back to 2008, it declined more than 20%. And now Utah is actually below the national average on this metric.
You can see the full report on our website, fox13now.com.
We have an update to a story we first brought you over the weekend about a dog named Malin who was rescued by South Salt Lake Animal Services after being thrown from a moving car.
Hundreds of people donated money so that little dog could have surgery today. In fact, the entire cost of the surgery was raised in just about 8 hours.
Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph spoke with the shelter today.
If you hear a ringing sound around South Salt Lake, South Salt Lake Animal Services.
It's most likely South Salt Lake Animal Services.
Absolutely you can. Of course, thank you. We couldn't do it without you. 5,000, but that was the last time I looked.
The reason? Well, it's all for a dog named Malin.
People have completely stepped up and are helping us with this.
All right, and then how much would you like to donate?
And our phones have not stopped ringing.
Thank you so much.
The staff of 4 working as fast as they can.
If it does come up that we don't answer it, please call back and we would be happy to take it.
Do that. I'll just get a little bit of information from you. Can you spell that for me one more time?
Here in South Salt Lake, we don't have a budget for medical reasons like this.
A witness says she saw Malin thrown from a moving car near 33rd South over the weekend, bruising her lungs, breaking multiple ribs, and both back legs.
The veterinarian called us and wanted to know what to do. Their first inkling was to euthanize the dog because of the amount of damage to the dog.
But this team decided to fight for her, naming her Malin, which means strong warrior. That name absolutely fitting.
I appreciate it so much.
There was no shortage of community support with the phone ringing off the hook, donating online.
All right, and then how much did you want to donate? Last name?
And people streaming through the door.
You can come on in. And then how much would you like to donate?
I just do 200.
Absolutely, thank you.
Those like...
Can I get your name, please?
James Curtis Jr.
It was my daughter who saw it, and when we heard that they were looking to have people come in, and she said, "Dad, you need to go."
And it was about then when everyone got an update.
She's out of surgery.
Oh my God. Hello, baby. Which was met with barks all around. She will make almost a full recovery. She might have a little limp, but with a name like Malin,
And it looked like an incredible little dog.
this little warrior is going to be just fine.
I love it. It's like you get those good days and those bad days, but
In South Salt Lake,
seeing the amount of people and support,
Spencer Joseph,
one bad thing happens and then a million good things come after it.
Fox 13 News,
That's the community. That's what we are.
Utah.
Come on, Malin, we're pulling for you. South Salt Lake Police are also asking for information about this incident. If you know anything about the person or people who did this, call South Salt Lake Police.
Red flag warnings are still in effect for southern Utah through 10 o'clock tomorrow night and already issued for Thursday. We're going to have a lot of heat and a lot of wind. We already have fire weather watches issued Thursday day through Thursday night for southern Utah. For tomorrow, the UV index will be very high. It's going to be sneaky high considering we're going to have a lot of clouds in northern Utah tomorrow. So keep that in mind. You'll still want to wear that sunscreen and take all those tips for outdoors, sunglasses, sunscreen, hats, all that good stuff. Salt Lake City tonight, temperatures will be pretty mild for much of the evening. We're in the 60s through much of the night, and then we will drop into the 50s around 6 a.m., but you'll still be close to 60 degrees at that point. Satellite and radar here across the state, we have mostly dry conditions, and that will remain the way over the next few days. However, we do have some isolated showers that have developed. We had a little bit of thunder and some hail near Tremont earlier this evening. Right now passing I-84, a little bit of lightning all on that north end of the Great Salt Lake. Same thing up through Garden City, Logan Canyon, very windy earlier this evening. But what we're going to be watching for you through tonight will mostly be dry conditions with temperatures around 60 degrees for overnight temps. Provo dropping into the mid-50s with mostly cloudy sky. And then tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., you're close to 60 degrees for Provo, Salt Lake, Tooele, and Ogden. Logan tomorrow morning dropping into the 50s, and then into St. George close to 70 degrees early tomorrow morning. But for a high tomorrow here along the Wasatch Front, Salt Lake, we're not quite as hot as today. Today we made it almost to 90 degrees. We made it to 88. So tomorrow is going to be 10 degrees cooler. Ogden 76, Provo tomorrow 76 with cloudy sky. But again, remember that UV index will be high when you're taking the dog for a walk. Cedar City 81, Richfield 81, St. George tomorrow close to 100 degrees. And for southern Utah and eastern Utah, Moab 91, Price 81, and then for the Uinta Basin close to 80 degrees. degrees tomorrow. For Futurecast, we're going to have that chance for some areas of lighter rain early tomorrow morning for here along the Wasatch Front around 9 a.m. And then throughout the day through 7 p.m. we'll continue still along I-15 down towards Nephi and to eastern Utah. We're going to have some isolated thunderstorms. We'll keep things pretty dry. Thursday, the wind really picks up ahead of an even stronger cold front. And then by Friday night, we could see some chances for mountain snowfall and lighter rainfall here in the valleys. But really the main story the next few days will be warm temperatures and then a cool down for this weekend. Temperature outlook for the 22nd of May through the 26th of May will be warmer here out west. St. George, you're close to 100 degrees through Thursday, and windiest day will be Thursday. And then this weekend in the 80s for Friday and Saturday. For Salt Lake, we're close to 80 degrees for Tuesday, Wednesday. By Thursday, we're close to 70, Friday 60, and then close to 70 to 75 this weekend.
Well, big news for Weber State's basketball program. Longtime head coach Randy Ray has announced his retirement, and assistant coach Eric Duff has been named the Wildcats' new head coach. Ray was the head coach at Weber State for 16 seasons. He leads with the schools and the Big Sky Conference's all-time leader in coaching wins with 316. Led the Wildcats to 5 Big Sky championships, 3 trips to the NCAA tournament. Was named the Big Sky Coach of the Year 4 times. He's coached 6 players to Big Sky MVP honors, including NBA superstar Damian Lillard. Weber State President Dr. Brad Mortensen said, more than being the winningest coach in Weber State and Big Sky Conference history, Randy Ray has exemplified running a program with integrity. Randy Ray is scheduled to speak to the media tomorrow. Eric Duff is now the 10th head coach in Weber State's Division I history. He knows all about the Wildcats program, working as an assistant coach under Randy Ray the last 16 years. The Utah Grizzlies had their 3rd opportunity to close out their second-round playoff series against Rapid City tonight in Game 6 at the Mavericks Center. After winning the first 3 games, the Grizzlies had a 5-2 lead in Game 4 with a chance to close it out. But the Rush rallied back to win that game 6-5 in overtime, and they won Game 5 3-0. But the Grizzlies were hoping to turn things around and win the series in 6 first period. Charles-Edouard Dastu just misses the shot. He's been a scoring machine in the playoffs. He'd get another look at it as the Grizz keep the puck back to Dastu. He one-times it into the back of the net for his goal. His 16th goal of the playoffs put the Grizzlies up 1-0. The Rush did fight back to tie it up in the second period. They get it to Brett Gravel. He shoots and he scores. That tied it up at 1-1. But the Grizzlies came back strong in the third period. Benjamin Tardif sticks with it, sends it in front of the Rush goal. It comes out to Dastu, and he fires it back for his second goal of the game and 17th of the playoffs. That put the Grizz up 2-1. They scored 3 more goals to win it 5-1 to win the series 4-2. The Grizzlies are in the conference finals for the first time since 2008. Tiger Woods preparing to play in the PGA Championship this week at Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he won his 4th and last PGA Championship in 2007. This will be his 2nd tour event since he was seriously injured in a car crash last year. But in the Masters in April, says his surgically repaired right leg is stronger than it was 5 weeks ago. So he says every time he goes and plays, it gets better and better.
Back on the links.
Yeah.
Hey, the Grizzlies, this is fantastic news for the organization.
Gone this far in the playoffs.
So what's next? The
conference finals.
The conference finals. Okay.
They basically had the final 4 teams.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And so they'll have some home games here.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Keep us updated. Yep. Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
Stick around. Quickcast is next.